Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of We Don't Know What to Call This.
We're still there.
Leah and I switched places just because I wanted to look smaller, because I felt like I looked awkward in that position. So thank you, Leah, for
And that's what
out.
girlfriends do for each other.
Yes,
The behind the scenes.
Yes,
That's the behind the scenes.
So today we're going to talk about in episode 2 something that we talked about in the first part, which was purging friends. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really important topic, something we don't share a lot.
True.
The definition of purging means what?
Getting rid of, throwing out.
Or putting boundaries with the people
Creating the boundaries
that have been in your life, and maybe not necessarily pushing them away, but with those boundaries, developing a new type of friendship. Right? Because it's not so much that sometimes you grow and you evolve into different ways, and your boundaries have to be set up in a different manner. Like, let's just say you're a person that doesn't have kids and all of a sudden now you have a baby. Well, you can't have the same lifestyle. No. It's not that you're trying to get rid of friends. It's just that I have to be at home with the baby, or my lifestyle has to change. And so sometimes people can take it as, oh, that person doesn't want to hang out with me, but it's just my boundaries had to change, my lifestyle had to change. So now what does that mean for friendships, right? And how do we take it and spin it into a positive with those boundaries, instead of people assuming that it's just going to be something that's negative in life.
Yeah, so we're not necessarily talking about cutting off friends. We're also talking about setting boundaries with friends.
Well, I think that I don't think anybody necessarily is like, I'm done with you. I think
I've done
grow.
That.
Well, we grow. Maybe you grow to a certain point, and you're not putting up with the negativity.
Right.
Right. And it's not so much that you're cutting people off. It's just that I don't want negative.
Yeah.
And so when you are not negative and you want to evolve into a different lifestyle or a different conversation, then you can call me and we'll have a different conversation. But if you want to be continuous of that same conversation, that's not a boundary that I want in my life anymore.
Right.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe it's the same thing, but not.
Okay, so let's give like very, very like specific actionable advice. How did you have that conversation? How did it go specifically?
Well, sometimes it doesn't.
So sometimes there's no conversation.
Sometimes there's
it's ghosting.
Slow ghost.
There is slow ghosting.
Where you just like distance until they get the point?
Well, if you distance enough, and when you do come around together and it's still that same negativity, what are you going to do? You're just going to continue to distance, right?
Yeah. But what if they bring it up to you and they're like, hey, like, we used to talk every day, you don't answer my calls, you're not hanging out with me.
Well,
is that when
you... Yeah, I don't like when you talk, you're always negative, or you're talking about people, or I don't want to have a life of gossip. I want to have a life of positivity and growth and development. I want to talk about what books you've read. I want to talk about where you're going to go. I want you to educate me on what you've learned, right? Because I have a lot of friends that are extremely, extremely smart and educational. That's the conversations I want to have with them. I don't want to talk about
other people,
so-and-so and make fun of people. I mean, that's, on a one-on-one thing, you want to do that on your own, but
that's not your vibe, but that's not
vibe.
your energy. You like to have productive, meaningful conversations, not just talking about people.
Right.
I've purged people because they send me screenshot of other people and they're making fun of them. I dislike having that on my phone. So I've stopped talking to several people because, hey, enough is enough. And some of these people are friends of mine. Yeah. And it hurts me. So I have slowly ghosted them because I don't want that.
Yeah, one of the biggest red flags to me is like when I'm hanging out with a friend of mine and they're talking about one of their closest friends. And I'm like, I'm like, if you're talking about one of your best friends like this, how are you going to talk about me? Like, that's like a huge red flag. You know what I mean?
You're divulging secrets. So that's one of the things that we talked about in Purging Friends. Like, it's hard to get close to people because you tell somebody something on a personal basis. And I could tell you, so I was having this conversation with a good friend of mine. And I said, I could come to, she's a really good friend of mine. We have great conversations. I love her. I call her my sunshine. And we have these conversations, and they're hard conversations because we run businesses, right? And sometimes they're not always pretty. And I said, could you imagine, this is how the stories go. I have a conversation with her, and I'm like, hey, I've had a really hard day, blah, blah, blah. and this is happening. And then so she goes and she shares that conversation with somebody else, and she says, oh yeah, Sarah's having a really hard time. I was talking to her the other day, she's having a really hard time in business. And then so 2 people later, their 2 friends, somebody else says, oh my God, did you hear Sarah's going to close her business? No, that's how it happens.
Yeah, it does.
Oh my God. And then somebody else is like, oh my God, Sarah's closing her business. And then it gets to a hater, and the person's like, oh, I always knew. Oh, I'm so glad.
I know.
You know what I mean? And that's how it goes. So when you're sharing information, I think it's really important too. When you share information, how do you share information about your friendships? Right. That's one thing that I listen to.
Right.
So it's like you said, when you're talking about the person, are you sharing information in a way that's negative, condescending, or sarcastic, so that it becomes rude enough for that somebody who could be hearing you around your table, or that person could construe it, take it in a way, and turn around and reshare it, where now 5 conversations down the line, it's Sarah's closing her business. Yeah. Ha ha ha. Yeah. Instead of, I just was having a
bad day. Like I was just having a bad day.
I wanted to share it with somebody.
Yeah. From like, I was having a bad day to Sarah's going out of business. And it's like, it's all about who you share it with and how they decide to share that information with other people. And that's something I pay attention to also.
Mm-hmm. What is it when 2 close friends vent about another close friend? Is that considered gossiping, or is it just venting and trying to figure out with each other how to help?
It depends on the tone. It depends. Are they name calling? Is it true? Is it a productive conversation where these 2 concerned friends are actually trying to problem solve, or is it gossip? Because there is a difference. There's a huge difference.
True.
I really like the way you said that. Because there are times when you're going to need another opinion. Mm-hmm. Look, I had this conversation, I'm really upset and I'm hurt and I don't know how to handle it. Mm-hmm. But that's when you go to people who uplift and who turn positive things. I serve on several different boards, and I was on a board recently with women, and there was a talk, you always have somebody who could be considered toxic or negative, right? Mm-hmm. And even I considered this person toxic and negative. But it's not because she is, it's just that's her approach to things. That's how she speaks, that's her personality, that's her business mindset, right? And so when you get around somebody like that, I had to change my perspective and figure out how to stop the vision of the toxicity. Is that a word?
Toxicity,
thank you. Toxicity in the group, so that we could all come together and grow from that, rather than everybody be, oh my God, she's just so ugly, negative, she says all these things. No, she's brilliant. Yeah. She just does not know how to have the leadership skill set to talk in a way that uplifts the room, but we can teach her that.
How can we help her become, because she's a great person, she just has like this negative approach to things.
Well, she has an old school business approach.
Okay, got it.
Right? And so when you have a business approach that is not driven by new and upcoming ideas and by self-development and all these other things, sometimes you only know what you know.
Right. Exactly. Somebody needs to tell you, and especially when we get older, that's when I surround myself with younger, because they will snap me out of it. That's not the way to think. My son, for example, I'll be saying something, he's like, Mom,
you don't say it like that anymore.
Yeah, you don't say it. And that's not a thing anymore. And he opens my eyes to a lot. And so does my staff. My staff, yes. I'm very lucky that they're not and they tell me, you know. Because sometimes
you can't use that phrase. Phrases I've used my whole life, and you can't use that phrase. You can't say it like that.
Now I go to TikTok to look for phrases. And then I'll text my son, and he loves it.
It's hilarious. It's a good idea.
Yeah. So talk about a time, because I feel like you're very, like you're really.
I'm older and I have a lot more experience.
No, that's not what I'm
Call
saying.
It out like it is, Leah.
That's not what I'm saying. But talk about a time where you actually did purge somebody. Like you were like, nope. We're not friends anymore. Or like we're not enemies, but we're just not friends anymore, and you don't talk to them anymore. Have you ever done that?
Yes.
Okay. How did that conversation go? You don't have to share what led to it, but like the general vibe of what led to it and how you dealt with it.
Well, I think it started in my 20s when I had a friend who had been negative in my life for quite some time.
But be specific.
So it was like little things, like she you could tell she would say things that were mean to me, and I didn't understand why. Things like we would be looking in a mirror and we were getting ready to go out together, and then she'd be like, "Oh, I'm just so much better looking than you," right? Like, and I'd just be like, "Yeah, you're beautiful," and she'd be like, "Yeah, I know, it's just better looking." And I was like, "Okay, I mean, but she was my friend. I mean, she's beautiful, and I don't compete. Like, to me, every woman I surround myself is beautiful. If she's around me, it's because she's a beautiful person.
Yeah.
Right? And so I would just blow little things like that off. But then it got to be where there was this guy who I was talking to. We started to date, and she had been at my house. She was using my phone, and all of a sudden, she's talking to him, and she's like, "Oh, we went on a date last night or something." And I was like, "Okay, you're negative. I don't know why you would do that to me."
Yeah.
And I did have that conversation. I was like, "I don't know why you would do that to me. Are you trying to compete?" She was like, "I just want you to know that he's attracted to me too." And I said, "You know what? I think that we're at a time that you need more attention, and I'm not going to be the person to be able to give you that attention.
Yeah.
So I think we should cut our ties." And she had been living with me for 2 weeks because she was looking for, anyways, it's a long story. But she was living in my apartment, and I said, I am going to move out. I moved myself out at the end of the month because I knew she would never leave. I said, I'm going to move out at the end of the month, so you're going to have to find a different place to go to. And after that, I just never had another conversation with her.
And how did she react?
She was like, "I don't know why you're taking things so personal. I mean, I was just having fun. I don't know why you have to be that way." And I thought to myself, I don't have to fight. One big thing about friendships is you don't have to prove your point. You just have to remove yourself.
Yes.
Anybody an explanation.
You don't have to be ugly.
Yeah.
You have to go through life being kind.
Yeah.
Right? I was still kind. I could have kicked her out right then and there.
Yeah.
I gave her 2 weeks to find a different place. I wasn't rude. I still lived in my kindness. I lived true to myself.
Right.
But I did close off that friendship.
Yeah.
That was one of my first examples, because before that, I had never put boundaries up.
I just started. I just learned. But I did have a person like that in my life. And I remember being at an event, and she showed up, and I was happy to see people. And I hear her tell another one of my friends, "Look at her. She acts really bubbly, but I'm sure she doesn't like them. And look at her doing this. And she just wants attention." And you guys know I don't look for attention, right? When my girlfriend comes and tells me, because I overheard it, and it made me feel so insecure saying hi to people because that was on my mind, right?
Yeah.
And then I just remember turning around at the end of the day, and I let her know, because I'm really good at that. I will let you know if you hurt me. I'm not going to hide it. And I let her know, and I stopped talking to her that day. It was no slow ghosting. I just knew this person did not need to be in my life.
What did she say to you?
She was just joking. I was just playing with her. I was just to her, it was a joke. It was a funny thing that she was saying.
But why do you have to joke in a mean way?
You don't. But, and that was other comments were said from her to me that I knew it was a friendship that I was trying to hold on to because we were childhood friends. Because she all of a sudden came into my life and wanted to be with me at these events, right? So I brought her in my life, and then it only lasted a few months because I got that vibe. And now she'll send me messages all the time. "Hey, Magda, if there's any events, please take me with you. I just opened up a business. I would love to help you, but I'm not putting myself through that." She chose the wrong year.
No.
That's the wrong year.
She chose the wrong year. It would have been last year, maybe.
Maybe that's what we should call it. You chose the wrong year.
Yeah. You chose the wrong year to betray me.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll share my personal stories. I have done both, where I've completely cut off people, and then I've sort of distanced myself from people, and I'm happier for both things that I did. When I've completely cut off people, it's because I feel like they were weirdly trying to compete with me all the time.
Give me an example.
So for example, if it was always a one-up situation, right? Say I won a case or whatever. It was always "Oh, well, anybody can do that." You know what I mean? Or that's not that hard. Or you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And I was just why not just say congratulations? Yeah. You know what I mean? Why not just say
the jellyfish from the movie Bridget
Yes.
Jones' Diary?
Yes.
The jellyfish is you say something positive and they're like, boop.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and maybe they're not, like maybe she wasn't a bad person, but I just didn't like her approach. Her energy. Yeah. And so, I slowly distanced myself from her, stopped talking to her. And then same thing, like a few months later, she reached out to me, hey, like, I miss you, like, let's get back together again. And I straight up said, no, like considering how it was in the past, I don't want to. And I hope that she becomes a better person, that she learns her lessons, but I'm not going to be, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be the person to help her through that. There will be some other great, kind soul to help her through that. It's just not going to be me.
No, we don't need to put that energy in our lives. We don't need that. We don't need people to bring us down. We just push over. Like and at the end of the day, it costs us nothing to get rid of them.
Yeah, no.
Nothing. Like, that's what I see with people in the industry.
I want to switch the words you said. It doesn't necessarily mean we get rid of them. I want to say we let energy go.
Yeah. That
and
negative
we
energy.
leave it open for an energy a positive energy to come back to us. Because at the end of the day, we still love people and we're still kind and we're always there for people when there is a need. Mm-hmm. But we make sure that the energy that we bring in is good,
right,
and growth worthy, right? Friendship worthy, love worthy, trust worthy. Because sometimes when you do share those those bad days, right? And you want to be able to have you want to be able to have that among friends and it stay in a positive atmosphere where your friends aren't going to turn around and make it a negative thing. And then 5 conversations later, Sarah closed her business because Google shut me down for 4 months last year, and people were like, "Oh my God, so and so had mentioned you were having a really hard time," and I was like, I'm having a fight with Google. Like, Atlas is
That's
open.
it.
Yes. I mean, it gets that crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. People are mean.
No, opening up OG, I realized that people could be mean. I mean, I've always known that. I've worked in the legal field and
lots of mean people in the legal industry.
That in itself, like,
I can't even imagine how you guys have handled it.
Oh, when I first started, the first 2 years, I swear there was times I cried in my closet. Like, I would cry because I wasn't let in, because I'm not a lawyer, but I was catering to lawyers, the PR. Oh, it was so hard. It was so hard. But eventually, hey, I was persistent. I earned their trust. I showed them that I was in there to take away. And I love them now. It's like my favorite industry to work with. People say, how can you work with lawyers? I'm like, oh my God, I love.
What is it, lawyers, and what was the other one? The sharks? Did they call them sharks?
Sharks.
Yeah.
Lawyers and sharks. There's a saying, because we had T-shirts like that. My God, I forgot, but yes.
We'll come back to it.
We'll come back to that one.
Maybe be the title of the podcast. Who knows?
Yeah.
So I had that, and then coming into OG, it was really hard to see people coming into my studio and taking pictures of my equipment, doing, getting ideas, and then starting their own. But now when they do that, I don't care anymore. It's one of those, you're not going to get rid of it. It's going to happen. You just learn to deal with it.
Yeah.
And then you learn to either let them back in or not. Like, now I cut people like that.
Yeah.
Once they do me wrong there, you don't have to come back.
Yeah.
Talking about doing wrong, I'm going to refer to you, Leah, because you do so much social media, right? Mm-hmm. What you do is hard. You're kind of like Giselle. You guys like air like a lot, right? Something I don't do. I'm very still private.
Yeah.
But you've had a lot of negativity, even other lawyers being ugly and negative towards some of the fun stuff you do, some of the great, you show yourself, your personality comes out on camera. Do you block people on social media that are negative or bring negativity to you? How do you handle that?
In the beginning, yes, but I think now, like, it sounds weird, but it doesn't bother me as much as it did in the beginning. In the beginning, I would get my feelings hurt. I would block them. I would delete their comments. And now I'm kind of like, I like laugh about it, and it's kind of like fun to look at. So now
Do you respond? Do you bother?
No, I never respond. I never delete, and I almost never block unless I feel like my safety is threatened. Otherwise, if it's just like mean or like, like if they're just being mean, I don't block. If they're like actually threatening my safety, which has happened to me before, then I will block. But I mean, it used to bother me, but really think about you, right? What kind of state of mind would you have to be in to comment something ugly on Magda's post? Like, you must be miserable. And I feel sorry for you.
Oh my God, yes.
Like, think about you. Do you have time to even go and comment something ugly?
I barely have time to read
exactly.
the post. Like, I love G to death, but sometimes she'll write like paragraphs, and I kind of like skim read.
You like it.
I read the like major highlights, and then I'm like, okay, I'll talk to her when I see her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like with you, sometimes I'll listen to some of your stuff, but you keep them short.
Yeah.
But when people write like a whole lot, or even a book, like I fast read books.
Think about the kind of person and state of mind you would have to be in to actually go and write something mean.
Well, I think that's what it has to do with friends, right?
Like
so we're going back to talking about friendships.
Yeah.
What kind of state of mind are those friends that you are surrounding yourself with? What kind of state of mind are they in? Are they in a state of mind that they're so miserable and so depressed that they're negative and angry about everything else around them, that it projects onto you and your lifestyle? And what are you going to do about that?
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, like, I feel more sorry for them than angry at them. And that was not always the case. I used to be angry, and now I'm just like, I feel sorry for you, because I know what it would take for me to be that way, and I would have to be like at my lowest point of my life. Like, no friends, no family, nobody loves me. For me to actually go and be mean like that, like, you're hurting, and I feel bad for you. And why? I mean, I'm not going to respond or block. Like, I could care less.
Yeah,
I couldn't care less.
Had a situation recently. I'm not going to go into detail, but a friend called me and said that she had gotten a message from somebody else saying, "Oh my God, why are you friends with Sarah? She's just a negative person." Blah blah blah, and I laughed. I didn't even like react, and I thought, okay, I mean, if that's what you want to think.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I just thought it was funny. Can you believe that this person would be trying to say these things? And I was like, you know what? I mean, I feel bad for them. I feel sorry for them, kind of like you said.
I wouldn't even tell my friend that somebody said that to them.
Yeah, I mean,
because I hate telling them something that's gonna hurt them.
But what if they're close with that person and they think that
this
person
is a fake person, a fake profile.
Oh,
One of those.
Wait, what?
It was a fake profile.
A fake profile was saying this about you?
Was reaching out to somebody I know and was saying something, and I was like, I thought it was funny, and I thought the person has to be fake. That's like really sad.
What do you mean it was a fake profile?
They had to create.
They created a whole fake profile to talk shit about you.
Talk shit about me.
I wonder if
I was like, damn, I must be really good.
If they're taking the time to do that, like, you weigh heavy on their mind.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Damn,
like,
I must be really good.
You take up a lot of space in their brain for them to do that.
And that was just recently.
And I would feel sorry for them too if they went through that much effort to make a fake profile to talk shit about you. Like,
there's quite a few fake profiles out there. Like, I've had comments on my photos, and it's like, Magda's just trying to be this, and that, and it's a fake profile. So we must have somebody out there creating these and just being ugly.
You know, I was in where was I? In Dallas, and there was a new show that was coming out, and it was talking about something. Oh, tell me the darkest secrets you know, and we'll keep it private.
What?
And I was like,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
that I'd be like, ooh, okay.
But I was like, but why are we like? So you know a dark secret about somebody, and you're going to go air it, and keep it hidden. Sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why do we?
I thought about ourselves.
No, not about yourself. About somebody else.
Oh,
like
no.
they were encouraging this on TV.
I was like, I'll say a bunch of my secrets. Don't say who I am.
Don't say who I am. No, I mean I have a lot of things I can say about myself.
Yeah.
But they were talking about you talking about other people, and I thought that's part of what's wrong with society.
Yeah.
Is that if you want to share something about yourself in a different way, I think that would be up to you. But for you to share things about other people just to make yourself feel better, I think that's pretty sad.
Yeah. I think that it's interesting that so many people get their feelings hurt, and like, little do they know that the person on the other side of the computer or the phone is like really miserable and probably going through the worst time of their life, or they're really suffering in some way, because I know that it would take that for me to be that way with somebody. You know what I mean? But back to the main point. Back to the main point.
So we wrap it up. Yeah, let's close it off.
You close it off.
Back to the main point. Where I mean, it's still talking about negativity, bad energy, all of that stuff. Protect your energy. Do whatever you have to do to protect your energy and your peace. And don't wait until your 40s to start setting boundaries.
I know.
Don't wait until your 40s to start
late.
setting. Learn from our mistakes. I'm 33. Yes. I would say in the past 1 or 2 years, I really started setting boundaries, which is too late in my opinion, but at least better than 48. So if you're watching this,
but I'm getting it done.
In your teens, your early 20s, don't wait until it's too late to start setting boundaries. Trust your intuition about people. Your gut doesn't lie to you, and always protect your peace. And don't be afraid to purge.
You can't fix the people around you.
Yes.
You can only fix the energy that lives with you.
I love that.
And with that, thank you guys so much for listening, and watch out for episode number 3. Yay. Bye.
Bye.